Hi, I'm Christopher Dunnigan. This is HandmadeInVermont.com, and today we're talking about the Hubbardton Forge Ume and Thumbprint Large Pendant. This is the 136357. This is the largest of the series. Let's get into the size of the fixture itself. When we talk about the size of the fixture body, it's going to be independent of what it's hanging from as far as the single rod. So it's going to be that bottom part with the glass and all the arms. That's coming in at 17.8 inches high. 58.6 inches wide left to right, so it's a pretty robust large fixture. There is a smaller version of this too, and this is the size you'd be looking at for probably a table that was like 96 to 100 and something long. If you have a 72-inch table or an 86-inch table, you should be looking at probably, let's take a look. Yeah, the 136355. I would be looking at that one. That one is 44.4, which is more in line for a 72 to 84 inch table, so check that out. But let's kind of continue on with this because a lot of details to go over. So 17.8 inches high, 58.6 inches wide. The depth on this is coming in at about 22 inches, 21.9. So when we get into the height, when you add everything together, that's called overall height, and that's the distance from the bottom of the fixture, bottom of that glass, to the actual ceiling itself. You can have a range to play with on this, anywhere from 29.6 inches at its shortest all the way to 74.6 inches at its longest as standard product. When you're on our site and you look down kind of that way, you're going to see a chart. That chart is going to have a lot of lengths on it, overall heights from the ceiling down. It's going to show you which combination of pipes that you're going to need to use to get to those targeted overall heights. So it's pretty easy to use. This is going to ship with 100 inches of wire, so if you guys need to go a little beyond that 74.6, you would just order another kit and use whatever pipes that you need to get to that. If you need to go well beyond that, let's say you have a 22-foot ceiling or something like that and you're coming down, we do custom lengths. So you would email us and say, I'm looking at the 136357 and I need it to be 124 inches overall height, 157 inches overall height. I'm going to take your email, I'm going to send it to Hubbardton Forge, and then we're going to kind of go from there. They'll come back with a quote from their engineering department. We do customs like that every day. It adds a little time and money, but it's really no big deal. So let's get into how these rods work. You're going to notice that you're going to be getting 3 pieces of the 12-inch, 1 piece of the 6-inch, and 1 piece of the 3-inch to start off with. They have threading on the ends of these, and then what puts them together is called a connector, and the connector also has threading on the ends. When you do have them together, they just simply go together like this, right? And this thing is so tight you barely see the line there, and this is a foot from my face. When you get this up, it's going to look like just a nice solid rod, but the milling on this and the precision is pretty incredible. Okay, so beyond that, you're going to be talking about how to put this together, and I want you to look at the install sheet. So if you're on the page for this on Handmade in Vermont, look over that way, left, oh, I think it's your right. Click here for Installations Instructions PDF. So click on that and open it up, and it's going to show you how you put all these things together. You're going to be taking that wire and you're going to be threading it through the pieces one by one, not when they're all put together. It's easier to do it one by one and then screw these things together, and then you're good to go. Once you get to the top of this, it's going to be coming out of a canopy. This is a round canopy that I have in front of me, but this fixture itself is going to have an oval canopy that's 5 inches by 7 inches, and the wire is just going to pop out the top. This is going to go onto a 4-inch junction box, which you guys all have in your ceilings, I hope. Should be. This is a very light fixture. It has no weight restrictions. It's only 14.6 pounds, okay? It's also slope ceiling adaptable to 45 degrees automatically. You don't have to do any customization. The top of this has a knuckle, and that knuckle is going to bend just like this. So it looks very nice and tight. It can go right flat and just goes down to a 45. So we cover you as far as the slope ceiling thing goes. Now we'll talk about glass. We'll talk about glass now actually. This is going to be available in 2 different types of glass. So this is called thumbprint, okay, and it has a dimple here and a dimple there, and it looks like someone took their fingers and went like that during the process, which is probably what happened. And then it has a hole at the top. It's going to be held to the fixture with this cylinder, which has threading on the inside of that, and that's going to go over the socket, so it kind of pushes it all together, and your bulb is going to pop out the end just a little bit right there. This is going to be available in 2 different types. This is the cool gray, and the other version is going to be just a clear. So that's going to be it for the thumbprint, and then we'll put it right there. The other version of this is going to be called the Ume, and the Ume is that Japanese blossom flower, and this does look like a very beautiful flower. So this is a hand-blown piece of glass. It has a retaining ring with threading at the very top. It is sandblasted on the inside of it, and then the outside is glossy. So it's that nice gloss on the outside. It has a milky presence going on to it, and I think it's just a beautiful piece of glass on its own, quite frankly. Nice, nice, nice. So now let's talk about what's going on inside of this as far as your lamping goes. This is going to be using a G9 socket, and G9 sockets use G9 bulbs. You can use a halogen bulb if you want to in this. Halogens come in different types. They come in clear, they come in frosted. They have those little wire prongs on the end, those little loops, and they just press right in just like that, very easy. So you get a lot of power coming out of these as far as a little bulb goes. So if you go for the halogen, and I think the halogens actually be a way to go in these, quite frankly, because it's going to be aesthetically more pleasing than an LED popping out the end there. Plus it's a dimmable fixture, and these dim beautifully. So anyway, so you're going to be limited to 25 watts per socket, and you're going to have 6 sockets, so don't be afraid that you're just going to be using a 25 watt, because times 6, that's quite a bit of light. Like I said, it's a dimmable fixture. These will dim down beautifully, as will a lot of the LEDs. If you do want to go LEDs come in all kinds of different flavors. So you have these are the phosphorus kind. They have the orange pads and the orange lines inside. This guy is a cob. This is also a cob. They look like corn cobs with all the faceted LEDs, including on the ends. Sometimes they have a frosted jacket on it. Sometimes they have a clear coating on it. But anyway, LEDs are what we generally use. If I was going to be using this glass, I would go for probably a nice big LED. This is a 75 watt equivalent LED. Once it's inside, you can't see it, so you don't have to worry about the aesthetics of it at all. When you get into LEDs as well, the color of the light is going to be very important. So we talk about color of light on LEDs in every single video. 2700 Kelvin, 2700K is going to be that setting sun yellow light. Way on the other side of that is called daylight. And daylight, people think it sounds like a warm light. It's not. That's going to be that bluish white light that you see outside on an overcast day. Probably not so great on this fixture. In the middle of all that is called warm white, and warm white is going to be 3000 Kelvin. That's what we use in our showroom all the time. The light coming down on me right now, this is 3000 K, and it looks just like an incandescent light from a 60 watt bulb. People can't really tell. It's a nice warm white. So if I was going to be looking for LEDs on this, I would probably go for a 3000 Kelvin, dimmable, very important, and that's good to go. 3000 Kelvin, maybe probably a 60 watt or a 40 watt equivalent, because like I said before, you've got 6 of these sockets and you're good to go. Let's get into finishes now. If you're on the HandmadeInVermont.com website, look over on this side of the screen. Midway down, you're going to see a tab. It's going to say Finishes Help Guide. Click on that for me. There's going to be a video on there of me talking to you guys about the differences in Hubbardton forged finishes and how they can look on different types of forging. I'm going to be talking about a chart a little farther down on the page. You'll see it next to me here. It's going to kind of go over the differences between heavy forging and non-heavy forging, and it'll be talked about in that video. So it's really important that you kind of watch the video, use the chart. You can click on that chart on different things. So you can click on dark smoke and a big page will pop up and show you lots of different things in dark smoke. Click on burnished steel or natural iron, it'll do the same thing. But it's really important that you understand how Hubbardton Forge's finishes are kind of divided into translucent and opaque, and how they can look on different fixtures. Our showroom in Vermont has we're up to 400 Hubbardton Forge fixtures spread across 2 floors. We have a What's on Display page. It's way up there in those red tabs again, so click on that and you can see what we have to show you. That changes all the time because we're always adding things as they come out. Showroom's open every day except Sunday from 11 to 6. We have an amazing clearance center here too. Clearance center stuff is 75% off MSRP. It's returns, discontinued things, and showroom samples. If you were coming to visit us, bring a good-sized vehicle, something like a big SUV or maybe a small truck or something like that, because you might find something in the clearance center that you want to take home, and it's a lot of fun to go through. 75% off MSRP is an amazing bargain, so you should really take advantage of it if you can. Like I said, we're open every day except Sunday from 11 to 6. I'm here every day except Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can call us at 802-446-2400 during business hours. You can email us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all the time. We love to answer emails. When you buy your Hubbardton forged fixtures from HandmadeInVermont.com, shipping is free to every state except Alaska and Hawaii. There's no tax if we ship out of the state of Vermont, and we're the only dealer with 90-day returns and no restocking fees. No one else even comes close to that. Some larger items are non-returnable. We'll always tell you about that. It'll be in the description thing, that part of the description underneath on the very bottom. So keep an eye out for that. We also offer a rush program. Hubbardton Forge generally takes about 3 to 4 weeks to get product out. They don't stock anything. That's how you're going to get all your finishes, your adjustable ranges to play with, all those things. We can cut that time in half, and it's super inexpensive. If you want to know more, drop a quick email, and I can walk you through the whole thing, okay? So, if you guys have any other questions, let me know. Love to see you in our showroom sometime, and have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.